of His Excellency Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, designated this day in order to focus on the critical situation in Zimbabwe. It is a day for all of us, the region and friends of our continent, to engage those who impose the sanctions, to hear our collective voice against them while calling for their immediate lifting. As you may all recall, in his inaugural speech as chairperson of Sadc, His Excellency President John Magufuli underscored that Zimbabwe had opened a new chapter and that the country was ready to engage with the rest of the world. He called on the region to unite in support of Zimbabwe against those unjustified sanctions. He urged Sadc member states to speak with one voice, since the sanctions have a grave and an unforgivable impact on women, children, and ordinary citizens of Zimbabwe and the region as a whole. It is obvious that immediate lifting of the sanctions will facilitate socio-economic recovery in the country for the prosperity and well-being of the people of Zimbabwe. As a region, we call on the countries and institutions who have imposed those sanctions to embrace the efforts by the current government under the leadership of His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa to re-engage and renew mutually beneficial relations with the international community. We applaud the efforts by the Sadc heads of state and government to consistently and systematically engage countries and multilateral institutions that have imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe, and we are hopeful that embargo will eventually be scrapped. Through relevant structures, Sadc will also engage countries at bilateral and multilateral level, providing information on the impact of the sanctions. We will be advocating for their complete removal. We will stand hand in hand with Zimbabwe in articulating a common position while coordinating and facilitating its dissemination using all available platforms and fora. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at the continental level, the Sadc region acknowledges and appreciates the call by the African Union for the West to remove the sanctions in order for Zimbabwe to implement effective reforms that the government has set for the people of the country. In this regard, the 797th Ministerial Meeting of the Peace and Security Council of the AU, held on the margins of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2018, called upon all members of the international community that have imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe to remove them without any further delay in order to facilitate further socio-economic recovery in the country. Again, at this year's 74th United Nations General Assembly in September, the AU reiterated the continent's call for removal of the sanctions. We further take note as Sadc the recent call by the AU Commission Chairperson, His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, on all of us to work together so that Zimbabwe can really harness the potential it has for economic development and play its role not only at the regional but at the continental level. Other leaders on the continent have also expressed concern at the serious economic challenges being faced by Zimbabwe and demanded an immediate lifting of the sanctions. As we all know, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these sanctions have made it difficult for Zimbabwe to access lines of credit and debt relief. They indirectly and directly affect the country's ability to meet its obligations and attract investor interests, as well as engagement that would revive the economy. It is therefore imperative that we consistently raise our voice for the sanctions to be lifted unconditionally. On behalf of the Chair of Sadc, His Excellency President Magufuli, and the Sadc Group of Ambassadors and High Commissioners, we reiterate our steadfast solidarity with the government and people of Zimbabwe, while condemning the continuation of unilateral and illegal sanctions against our sister country. The region has fully embraced primary responsibility to ensure that the sanctions are removed and complement Zimbabwe's reforms that sustain economic stability, development, and prosperity for the people of Zimbabwe. I wish to conclude by affirming that Sadc stands ready to work with the international community to support the people and government of Zimbabwe to achieve their political and economic objectives Thank you so very much for your kind attention.